There's a battle in the Big Ten on CBS this weekend. Luke Altmaier and the Fighting Illini heading out west over to Oregon to take on Dillon Gabriel and the Ducks. Not many people thought Illinois would be in this spot, 6-1 at this point in the season. That only loss coming to Penn State, coming off of a win over the defending champs over Michigan. But it is a very tough test for the Fighting Illini against Oregon. Probably the best team, pretty sure, is that Illinois has seen all year long. We're going to talk about this matchup. Gary Danielson is going to be on the call for that one on CBS. Gary joining us now to break it all down. Gary, before we get into it, we can't help but notice your background here, the throwback. Of course, the big topic of conversation with Illinois last week was these throwback uniforms. At first, they were kind of polarizing, but everyone loves them now. So walk us through the broadcast, what it was like. It looked great. It was awesome. We all love to see it, Gary.
How do you like my new office? I had a mural painted behind me like that of Ness and I. Yeah, I just wanted, again, just to give credit to a lot of people that made this thing happen. You know, Ness and I are on camera, and we're all there talking. But we wanted to pay tribute to the 100 years, but we also didn't want to overlook the big game that was in front of us. So we worked really hard. A lot of people that put in overtime for no extra money and went out to find costumes for us, and it was a lot of fun, and we're very proud that we served the environment well and paid tribute to a great history, and the Big Ten people loved it, and that was job one, I guess. So we're still want to celebrate another few days here before we get started on the next one.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. I loved watching the broadcast. Also, shout out to Jenny Dell, who was on the sideline in a flapper dress and looked absolutely fantastic. All right, Gary, let's talk about this week with Illinois and Oregon. And this is what we love about college football, right? Because before the season, if you said Illinois could potentially be the team that a lot of folks think could spoil Oregon's undefeated season, I don't know if many people had that on their college football bingo card if you're looking at the schedule before the season.
Yeah, and I guess that's what's great that we have about college football. I mean, they were picked, the Illini, 13th in the Big Ten. And now they're going to go out and play Oregon. And I read this little note. It was like, for the Illini and their faithful and their football team, hey, Illini, hi, Illinois fans, welcome to big-time college football. And this game will be. They've earned that right. It'll be a tough matchup. It's a tough matchup for anybody that goes and plays this great Oregon team, but the Illini deserve the stage this weekend, and they're going to earn it against a really good team.
Oh, yeah, the race for the Big Ten is certainly heating up, and it's going to be a great one. If we talk about Oregon, of course, they're led by quarterback Dillon Gabriel, who is right there at the top of the Heisman Trophy conversation. Of course, it's Ashton Jeanty, Cam Ward, and then Dillon Gabriel has been here for the last couple of weeks in that conversation. Gary, what do you need to see from him to keep him there? Is it a win, or is it a win with style points? Obviously, a loss is a totally different conversation, but what needs to happen here for Dillon Gabriel in order to keep him at the top of that conversation?
You know, for a quarterback to win the Heisman, I think job one is you got to win a championship. You got to win the Big Ten championship. You know, going undefeated and leading the football team. We've all seen what Dillon Gabriel can do, the way he plays, how good of a quarterback he is. He feels more comfortable. He's got an offense. He's got weapons every direction he looks. But there's those games, you know, and he's had a couple of them already. Boise State, obviously Ohio State. There's going to be those clutch games, and it's going to happen. Now, Illinois may be probably the highest ranked team that this Oregon team will face the rest of the year. But one has to believe for Oregon to win the Big Ten championship, there will be another clutch drive that he'll have to go to. So I don't think it's style points. I think it's putting W's on the board, doing what Dillon has done for years. A lot like Bo Nix got almost to that spot. You have to take that next step to go against Ashton Jeanty and the way he's playing, because he's putting up monster stats. And for a quarterback to do it, takes more than stats. You got to have W's.
Yeah, and you know, at one point in the season, we were talking about Dillon Gabriel and saying, hey, some of those wins, like you mentioned, against Boise State, looked a little bit harder than they should have for a team of that caliber like Oregon. Let's talk about Illinois and Luke Altmaier, because he's a mobile quarterback, and the offense certainly plays to that. We already alluded to the Big Ten race and how it's really heating up at this point in the college football season. But how much would this boost things for Illinois if they go on the road? Everyone's kind of counting them out prior to the season, and they get this win. How much more chaotic is this Big Ten race going to be?
Well, there are scenarios out there that we could have 5 teams with one loss out there at the end of the season where each team beats each other at the end, and who knows what the tiebreaker will be. But for Illinois now, they've put themselves in a position that, in the conference, they've had the loss, but it was a good loss. And that's why this Illini team is pretty well battle tested. When they faced this Michigan team and they knew what they could do, they did it at Nebraska. They did it against Penn State, a good football game. But what Luke brings to the table is much like what Dylan does. He gets them out of bad plays with his feet, and he's got 2 great receivers out there in Pat Bryant and Zachariah Franklin, that are really good players. So he can get the matchup he wants, but it's going to be, I think, him getting out of bad plays in this game. And let's suppose the worst happens. They play a great football game. It's got to be a competitive football game, and they don't win. They could still find their way to the playoffs in the new system by winning the rest of their games. And that schedule looks like they could be favored in most all of those games after the Oregon game.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the 12-team CFP, right? You can have a 2-loss team that still finds their way in there and has a shot at winning the national championship. Let's talk about this Illinois defense. You mentioned this team is battle-tested, and I know you saw it firsthand against Michigan. This Illinois defense had 3 takeaways. Does that defense need to step up in the same way against this really talented Oregon offense for them to be in this game?
I think they'll have to play a better football game. Now, they've got good man-to-man coverage. Gabe Apkus, their emerging defensive end, is a tough block for anybody. Oregon will have to probably get some help on him. But those open receivers that Michigan had against this Illini secondary, the Michigan quarterback couldn't hit him, and he made some mistakes. That one was a mistake of not reading the coverage in front of him right there. But there were open receivers that he just did not put the ball on. So Dylan Gabriel will not miss those throws. He may miss 1, but he's not going to miss 6. So I think the Illini are going to have to play even a higher level of game. A couple of those punch outs like they did against Michigan for fumbles, turnover, and that's the style that Brett Bielema brings. He's always been a sound coach, and he points towards turnovers being the key to these games.
Oh, it's going to be such a good matchup. And a reminder, you can watch it on Saturday, 3:30 Eastern on CBS. Before we let you go, Gary, we're going to shift gears over to Notre Dame because when they had that loss earlier in the season to Northern Illinois, we've been talking about their path to the CFP, what that's going to look like. How much of a resume booster would it be for Notre Dame if they can take down an undefeated Navy team?
I mean, say that out loud again, okay? When we started the season, we looked at their schedule and go, oh, man, this is too soft of a schedule. If they lose a game anywhere, they might be in jeopardy. Now they've got Navy and Army later, and those, as you just mentioned, and to the college fans will say those are going to be good wins. I mean, and legitimately they are. Northern Illinois was able to run the ball and control the football game against this Notre Dame front. Well, Navy's better at it. Plus, they bring a better passing game. So this will be a really interesting game. And then in front of them, they still have Army and then at USC. But Notre Dame is getting better. And maybe more importantly than that, they're getting healthier. They lost a couple offensive linemen. They're going to get one of them back, Shruth back at the end of the season here. And they're getting better. It looks like Riley Leonard is getting more comfortable. And I also think first-year offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock, who guided the LSU team to a great season as their offensive coordinator, they're going to get him more comfortable as the season goes along. I definitely think that Notre Dame has a real shot at making the playoffs. If they play Notre Dame football, they should be able to run the table here that's out in front of them. But what we thought was nothing, the Navy game will mean something for everybody that watches it.
Certainly. Looking at the schedule before the season, we're thinking, oh, that FSU game is really going to be something. And now that conversation is completely different. Gary, we certainly appreciate it.
Let me just say it. I'm not used to talking this much without Ness talking. Ness, you got anything? He's got nothing.
Yeah, he's got nothing. He's stumped. Gary, we appreciate it. Thank you for explaining the nod with the throwback broadcast. Again, it was awesome. We certainly appreciate it. Gary Danielson, Brad Nessler, and Jenny Dell on the call for this one. Illinois and Oregon, a Big Ten showdown Saturday at 3:30 Eastern. And, of course, you can stream it on Paramount Plus as well.